Stock market update, 6:30 p.m., October 23rd, Wednesday. Let's talk through what we're seeing. So, silver and gold both really took off here since Friday, I believe. We saw silver break out to 11-year highs. We saw gold break out to all-time high for over the 30th time this year. Platinum, palladium, both ripping higher. It's been risk on. Markets have been really shining here. And what we saw today was finally a much needed pullback and correction, both in silver, gold, other precious metals, but also in the stock indices. So we saw NASDAQ down at one point a little over 2%. We saw the S&P come down about 1.5%. Russell's been down a bunch the past few days, but the commitment of traders has shown that the Russell's been crowded on the long side, so not surprised here to see as drastic of a move lower. We're seeing a bit of a correction. What are we currently looking at? What are we in on? I just took a profit on crude oil, but I am liking the price action here. May consider getting in on a long entry. Price has actually recovered back to where it was before this bearish inventory report that we had earlier today, where we had a significant stockpile of crude inventories and heating oil supply. And yet, prices have still recovered and are still heading higher. So that is a good sign for us. And we'll probably look to get in a position at some point by tomorrow. Natural gas, we saw what I would say is a potential news failure with bearish crude and bearish oil news. We saw natural gas actually rip 4% higher, so we've taken a half size position here to go long. Other positions we are looking at, we played around with a little bit of a short on palladium and platinum here, kind of neutral and out of those positions now. We're mostly in on currency trades right now. So we still have our long NASDAQ position, which is about a half size position. We were considering maybe adding to that at some point. And we're currently shorting multiple currencies here. So Australian dollar, South African rand, and the yen, which the yen is very close to hitting my profit target, which I've already updated about 3 times lower. And we have a trailing stop now that is there to protect us and keep us in profits as we continue to ride this move lower and lower. So we're in actually about here at this top of the shoulder, and we have just been ripping lower ever since. So really nice profit here on the yen. Australian dollar, we are in probably around this right shoulder here as well, or one of these kind of shoulders or tops we have been in on. Added to the position yesterday, we're in on 3 positions in Australian dollar. It's been carrying significantly lower, and 3 positions on South African rand, which today had actually 3 monster candles to the downside. So if you know anything about candlestick patterns, this is called the 3 Black Crows candlestick, with these 3 giant red bars heading lower. And then even if we have a little bit of a bullish move here, what would be called a bearish 3-line strike, 3 moves down, 1 candle up, that is still very much a bearish sign here. So very bearish chart here. And we were also breaking down to the bottom of this channel, had a little bit of a bounce back on the daily, but not too much going on here other than heading lower. So shorting currencies, dollar continues to rip higher. I would like to get back on either silver or gold for a long position if we have a little bit more of a correction here. If you follow the channel, you'll know that we get out at around 33.3 for profit on silver, but we were in as low as $28 at one point, exited that position, re-entered, and then exited at 33.3. Gold's been a little bit tougher to get, not as much of a correction. It's been very much respecting the channel and staying to the top end of the channel, so it's been tough for us to get in on a position there. That is pretty much what we're looking at here. The other position that I entered in on Ethereum. So I used the ETF as opposed to the futures. That way, the futures are just too difficult in sizing. You're either too small or too large, too much risk or not enough. So we took on the ETF for Ethereum here, added a position, and we're looking to add further exposure if it comes a little bit lower. Other things that we're looking at are the live cattle. I'm paying very close attention to here. We had a bit of a wick, a top wick on the candle here. This is very much a cyclical pattern here. Right around this time of year, we typically find highs in live cattle, and it's also very crowded from speculators to the long side. So we are looking for this to roll over and get in on a larger short position. I'm currently in on a very small position on the short side to short live cattle here. I also want to draw attention to the 5-year and the 30-year bonds. These things have been ripping lower, despite the fact that we had a more aggressive rate cut, 50 basis points from the Fed, and these things have just headed lower ever since. So just something interesting. You would think that bonds would head higher here, especially the 30, but given the fact that we're probably going to see more inflation, more inflationary pressure, these things have just not been able to find any chance to go up here. So these things have just been ripping lower. I am paying close attention. I think we'll find an opportunity at some point to go long here, maybe on the shorter end of the tail on the 5-year. But right now, we're just watching those things continue to collapse. So that is pretty much what we're looking at. I've got a couple things that I am paying attention to for probably later in the week or next week with cotton, the Russell, US dollar, and cocoa. A lot of price action movement on these, so not much that we're doing there. Silver, I'd like to go long, and we'll update this as we go. I would like to get in silver around sub 33 if that's possible. Ethereum, we're in on from our momentum indicator. We're watching platinum short. We're watching palladium, 5-year notes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only other thing I would draw attention to is Tesla today with an earnings beat and the stock ripping higher and having a gap fill on the daily. So we had this gap down the other day after the cyber cab event, the autonomous vehicle. We had this gap down, and now we're trading around 239. So we're right back to here, filling the gap. So it's good price action. We'll continue to watch that. And yeah, we're going to continue in on these short currencies. We're going to look to get long silver or gold, possibly stack that with long crude or heating oil. And we are currently long natural gas. So a lot of positions, a lot of things going on, and we've been making some good profits. So we'll talk again later in the week. And thanks for listening.